I'm Rachel Belle, and this is Your Last Meal, the show where celebrities share stories about the foods they love most, and we dig into the history, culture, or science of those meals with experts from around the world. Today on the program, Tilly Ramsay, host of the new Prime Video cooking show, Dish It Out. Tilly's dad is British chef and TV host Gordan Ramsay, and she's been making regular appearances on his TV shows since she was a kid. And when she was 13 years old, she started hosting the British children's cooking and entertainment show, Matilda and the Ramsay Bunch. And at 15, she published a cookbook.
Mum calls me the female version of him, so...
If you want to be a chef, do you need to go to cooking school? I chat with a brother and a sister, both chefs. One went to culinary school, one didn't, about the pros and cons. That's coming up later in the show. But first, my conversation with Tilly Ramsay. I have to ask you this question. I'm sure a lot of people do, but your dad has a reputation on his shows for yelling a lot. Does that reflect what he's like at home? Is that something that you grew up with?
No, honestly, not at all. I think, I've been asked that question before, and then I've asked my dad, being like, actually, I've never asked you, Dad. Like, you don't shout or anything at home. And hearing him say, well, I'm like that because food is my passion, restaurants are my passion. When you're in a high stress environment and you've got so much passion, it's just the way it comes out for him. But at home, he's literally like a giant teddy bear.
Well, I've seen, interviews with you together, and also he's a guest on your show and you've been on his show, and it does seem like a completely different interaction.
Oh, completely. Him and I are like, Mum calls me the female version of him. So I think it's a good thing, but we get on so well. And I've always felt very lucky to get to work with my dad. I think that's a really cool thing to be able to say. And so, the amazing opportunities we've had together, there's something quite special about driving to and from work together. And I always love it.
Tilly's mom is Tana Ramsay, a cookbook author and food TV host. But Tilly is the only one of their 6 children who's taken a culinary path. Why do you think that you're the only kid in the family who's gone towards food?
I don't know. I think from a young age, I was always heading in that direction. My siblings all enjoy cooking. We're all big foodies, but I also love the fact we're all so different and do such different careers. But I don't know whether it's because being the youngest at home, I was around it the most, whereas they were slightly older with their clubs and play dates and things. And so I ended up being the one to sit in and watch Dad the most from a young age. And I think I used to annoy him being like, oh, can I come in this one? Or like, do you need me today? Like that kind of thing.
With years of food media experience under her belt, Tilly could have easily continued down that path after high school. But she wanted to get a formal education.
I graduated last June after 3 years at university, which was an incredible time. I think psychology is such an interesting and useful subject in many different areas of life. And I didn't know if I necessarily wanted to pursue it because at the back of my mind, I was always like cooking. But then, getting to live away from home and learn and graduate with a degree was also an incredible experience.
Yeah, because when you graduated, you did decide to go to culinary school next.
I did. And culinary school was another time where I could kind of push out of my comfort zone. Having grown up around food, I know quite a good amount, but there's so much in the culinary world that you can never be comfortable. So I thought it's a perfect opportunity to actually go and train. I was on this beautiful farm in Ireland. And I learned a lot about like farm to fork. So the farming side, the like ethical produce, even baking the bread, doing pastries. And, it just was continuing to fuel my passion for food.
Did you always plan on going to culinary school or wanting to work in the field of cookery?
No, so it actually came as a bit of a surprise to my parents what I did. They knew I wanted to go to university and they fully supported me and they were super excited about that. And then kind of sat them down and I was like, look, guys, this is the kind of time where everyone says, what are you doing after uni? What do you want to go into? And I said, I'd really like to go to culinary school. And I think my dad kind of choked up a bit and he was like, whoa, like, really? Are you wanting to do that? And I think secretly he was like, yes, one of my kids following my footsteps. But he's always known that I've had such a passion like him and I've always enjoyed it. for them, they've never been pushy. They've never told me what I should or shouldn't do. They've always just supported all of us kids. My dad would joke, being like, but I'll just teach you. I was like, we both know how that would end up. Like, I'm going to go away and I'll see you after that.
Yeah, anyone whose parent helped them with their homework growing up, you're like, ah.
Literally, literally.
Is it true that you paid your own way through culinary school?
I did. It was something I really wanted to do. Yeah, it was a big move. And not that I would have been any less serious about it if I'd gone any other way, but as my dad said, it's an investment in yourself, in your career. If you're really passionate about this, it's a great move. You're never going to regret doing it. And it was such an exciting time being like, I'm here because I want to do this. I would like to learn and get the most out of my experience. We had exams as well. And I remember being so stressed about my exams and calling my parents and then being like, well, this is a good thing. It's because you care. That's why you're stressed.
So you don't like the texture of quiche or jelly, and you're not a fan of spicy food. So tell me the story of how all three of these things came together your first day of culinary school.
This was honestly the craziest thing because I would say if there were three things I didn't eat, it would be quiche, spicy foods, and jelly. The spice was too much for me. Quiche and jelly, the texture is just too much. But the first thing we were told is you must try everything. You know, it's really important you try all the foods and you don't have to like it, but try it. And the teachers have been making food in the back to feed all of our students. You know, there was a lot of us. And the first thing that was quiche, and I was like, oh, I'm okay. And the teacher was like, no, you should try a little bit. I was like, okay, I'll try some quiche. Had some quiche and some salad, sat down. And then they brought out the main courses and it was curry. And I was like, what are the chances? I'd like literally just told my new friends who I was living with, I was like, the three things I don't eat. Like we were all going around the table the night before. Then it was curry. And I was like, okay, I can do some curry, just lots of rice, some yogurt on the side, keep it, you know, manageable, not too spicy. And then they brought out dessert. And I was like, somebody is pranking me because it was jelly. I was like, there is no way that in one meal I've had quiche, curry, and jelly. I literally texted my mum and I was like, are you in Ireland or something? Like, what's going on? And she was like, what do you mean? I was like, I sent her a picture of all the different courses and she was like, oh my goodness. She was like, did you eat it? I was like, I did. And she was like, and so will you eat it when you come home? I was like, yeah, we'll work on it, mum. But literally, it was so funny. But I have to say, I'm much better with spice now from filming Dish It Out, going to culinary school, and also going traveling. I actually opt for spice, which I never thought I would say.
Yeah, that's something you can actually like teach your palate, get your palate used to.
Yes, I think I was just being a baby before, maybe.
Okay, I want to clarify because I'm recalling another interview I did with a British person, and jelly, I think, is something different in the States than it is in England. When you say jelly, do you mean Jello?
Sorry, I do mean Jello.
Okay.
I always forget these little things. Yeah, Jello, the wobbly thing. Ugh.
I would never imagine going to culinary school and being served gelatin for dessert. That just seems, who does that?
I mean, they did have some other desserts out as well. I think it was just they were showing us different things and different techniques and what you compare things. But it was just crazy to me. I was waiting for my parents to jump out and be like, got you.
Yeah. I want to know a little bit more about culinary school because I feel like there's two camps. You know, if you listen to enough interviews with chefs and cooks, some people think that you don't need to go, that you should just go work in a restaurant and work your way through restaurants and learn that way. And some people will say, you know, it's a lot of money that you don't need to spend. And other people really want to learn the classical techniques. After going through, what is your opinion of culinary school?
I think it really depends on how you see your career going and what you would like to do. For a lot of people, I think where you don't know where to start in an industry that is so creative and booming and busy, going away and learning is important. For me, it was really important because I didn't necessarily want to dive straight into restaurants. I wanted to go learn so I could, you know, apply to work in restaurants with this background and this knowledge. I really wanted to strip back to basics. And that's one thing culinary school does do. You kind of relearn things and learn, it's not necessarily the correct way, but the way they teach you. For me, I take it as a correct way. It's what I want to do, but everyone adapts after that. So, you know, I was very lucky and privileged to be able to go to culinary school. But for some people, they've got to go straight into work. And, you know, working in the industry is just as good. You know, you get the same experience and it really depends on the path you want to take.
What is one thing that you learned in culinary school that you've been using a lot, just, you know, in your home cooking that has changed the way you cook? And what is something that is, you know, so formal or maybe old school that you're just never going to use again?
Um, One big thing for me is I definitely learned how to limit my waste. How can I use the full ingredient? And if I don't use it all, what can I do with the food scraps? How can it be sustainable? And how can you make the best of your produce? So that was a big thing for me because they were super strict on it. It was like nothing will go to waste. Not that I was wasteful before, but just these different tips and tricks in like freezing your vegetable scraps before you make stock and making your own stock. It's super easy to go buy stock cubes from the store. It's great when you're in a hurry, but if you've got the time, making it yourself, it does just taste better. And I don't know. I think I'm too fresh off culinary school now to have discarded little things. Maybe I don't have my prep done as nice as I did every morning. I'd go in and weigh my ingredients, peel my veg, chop things, and before the teacher came in. I don't quite have the time for that right now, but there are so many things I'm going to take with me throughout my culinary career there and also build on.
I have been dreaming about going to culinary school for a very long time. But since I don't have any intention of working in a restaurant, I can't really justify the cost. So this scenario can only work if I am rich and I don't have to work. But what if you actually do want to work at a restaurant? What if you want to own a restaurant? Should you go to culinary school? We will gather the opinions of two chefs after the break. Some of the best, most successful chefs in the world never went to culinary school. Some of the best, most successful chefs in the world did go to culinary school. So which route should folks take if they want to work in a professional kitchen? The biggest critique of culinary school is that it's expensive, and those loans will be hard to pay off on a cook's salary. But is it worth it?
So I went to culinary school.
That's Justin Paiocchi, James Beard Award nominated executive chef and co-owner of Paiocchi Food Group in New Mexico.
I didn't go to culinary school at all, actually.
And Tia Paiocchi, co-owner and sous chef at Paiocchi Food Group.
I just wanted to introduce ourselves in Navajo. Tia can actually do it for me. She does it a little bit better.
Yat Justin Paiocchi, do Tia Paiocchi inishe. Ashi inishe, but I never just chain Bilgan just a che Torechini Dashanale.
And that's both of your names?
Yeah.
And we always like to point out we are not married. We're not girlfriend or boyfriend. This is my sister. We are both very single.
We're always together then.
And
That's funny. Justin's opinion of culinary school isn't black and white.
it was a really great experience for me, but I did go to a really good school. It was Arizona Culinary Institute. I already had the grit to stand in the kitchen because I've been taught really hard by Mexican chefs and they raised me hard. And so whenever I got to the school setting, it was kind of like a walk in the park. Unfortunately, I was a terrible student, but I did love learning. I took what I could. They helped me with job placement, and that was awesome. Later on, while really thinking about it, I really didn't need to go to school, and doing a lot more research, I've learned that a lot of my heroes didn't even go to culinary school in the first place. But I'm very grateful for the experience that I did have. I just feel like later on, while holding different positions in different kitchens, you seem to learn more while working rather than going to school. And so I always tell students, we talk to high school students all the time, and they always ask me, don't go to culinary school just yet. You're not going to get real life experience, I guess you can say. Go find a really good restaurant, one that has really high standards, one that's really busy. Go get your ass kicked for a year. And then if you still like it and you still love it, then maybe think about going to culinary school, because school's expensive. And I would rather students get paid to learn rather than pay to learn.
Tia is 10 years younger than her brother, and he advised her not to go.
Justin wanted to start this food group, and I've been helping him since I was 10 years old. He had a first catering company, and it was called Pioche's, and my mom was like, well, you better help your brother. Through those years, I just kind of learned from him. I've always looked up to my brother. I've always wanted to be like him. Like in fourth grade, I remember putting on my paper, I wanted to be a chef. Ever since then, I know I've been just learning from him and finding my own way too, and finding my own style of cooking as well. I wanted to go to culinary school. I just wanted that degree. I wanted that certificate. And Justin's like, you don't need that. Look at where you're at right now. And he was like, you are going to be so bored out of your mind. You already are more advanced than a regular culinary student. And ever since then, I've just learned to push myself. Justin's always pushed me to reach out to people and ask if I could go and stage and work for them for free. Even staging for Alenia and another restaurant in Chicago named Ever. I went with Justin and we staged there together. I got good compliments too, that I did a very good job, better than most people that go to stage to get hired on. And it's just all these techniques that I've learned from Justin. It can go both ways, culinary school can really be good, or it can just be like a waste of money sometimes.
If you are not familiar with the term staging, it is when a cook or a chef spends a short period of time working for free at a restaurant to learn new techniques or to learn more about a particular cuisine. And often it's at a restaurant that a chef admires in a city they don't live in.
We've gotten to cook in Israel. We've gotten to cook in Italy at an old castle that was built in 1100. I've gotten to stage over at Noma, actually. Rene Redzepi, him and I just chit-chat here and there on Instagram, and I just showed interest in him. Yeah, I was able to go there for 2 weeks.
Yeah, so it sounds like you can make your own culinary school in a way by doing a lot of staging.
Yeah, basically.
Like old school culinary school, I don't know if they still do this, carving a watermelon into a swan or whatever. What's one thing you learned in culinary school that you never used in the real world? And what is something that actually was very valuable that you picked up and you maybe use to this day?
Good question. What I don't use ever really is the mother sauces. To us, it's more about just coming up with our own thing, our own recipes. One big thing that I did learn was organization, especially like with the walk-in. Also being able to communicate with your people and not being afraid to step out of your comfort zone and learn something different and try new foods. They really opened my eye when I took the nutrition course about the importance of taking care of people with allergies. They love to eat too, and even down to the vegetarians and the vegans. They made us take a vegetarian course, and so I took it upon myself, and I actually became a vegetarian, almost a vegan. I think I lasted for like 2 days on that, but
a few days.
yeah. And I learned really quick going out to eat at different places that the restaurant scene, they're really lazy sometimes, especially when it comes to vegetarians. They're just like, just give them a salad. And
yeah, you get salad and French fries.
Yeah, I felt really bad for a lot of people, but I've learned different tricks on like how to make vegetarian food actually look good and actually taste good. It just showed me like you can be creative with vegetables, and
yeah.
It was really cool. I won't ever forget that.
All right, kids. Did you hear the bell ring? School is out for the day. Go home and make yourself an English muffin pizza. And when you come back after the break, Tilly reveals her last meal. And we talk about unusual uses for Marmite. What would your last meal be?
I always find last meal really tricky, but I think to like food that is really memorable for me, and growing up, it's very traditionally British to have a roast on a Sunday. And so whether it's roast beef, roast chicken, roast pork, a protein, and then you've got these incredible sides. It can be roast potatoes, honey glazed carrots. We do cabbage at home, and then Yorkshire puddings. You've got a gravy. There are all these like little bits and bobs that go together to make an incredible spread for the family. Oh, and a cauliflower cheese. I love cauliflower cheese. We didn't have this every week as a family because everyone was super busy, but when we could have a roast together, it was really special. And it also reminds me of Christmas, it's not too different to a Christmas dinner. Obviously, bits and bobs swap out. You get a turkey and pigs and blankets, but it's those like family meal times where you're all sat round catching up on the week or the couple weeks, basically just having a really lovely time, enjoying good food. And because I loved this so much growing up, it was actually one of the first things when I was older that I took the reins of in my family house. And I was like, guys, I'm going to do us a Sunday roast. We haven't done it in years. So everyone this Sunday, come along. And I spent the whole day from literally 9 a.m. till we sat down at 5, whether it was prepping, writing out my timings,
Wow.
doing this. And I remember feeling so proud and my dad being like, you've got this, girl. Like, come on. And so for me, like a traditional British roast has like a lot of memories tied to it.
Okay, I have to tell you, you are maybe the fourth person to choose a British roast. I've been doing the show for a long time, maybe 9 years. They've all come up over the past couple of years. It's all British people. Tan France from Queer Eye, Gavin Rossdale from Bush, and then Josh Groban, who's not British, but his girlfriend is. And it really makes me wonder about, I don't know, I don't know how to phrase this. It's like, England has had reputation for a long time of not having the best cuisine. And I think that that's changed a lot, especially with, people like Ottolenghi and, of course, all of the Indian food. But the fact that so many British guests have chosen this meal, I don't know if this reflects like the lack of choices in England or this is just the ultimate comfort food for so many British people.
I have to say, I think it is the ultimate comfort food. Like everybody loves a roast, at least all my friends, all my family. You can't go wrong. And I think it is just a memorable thing growing up. Lots of my friends, they even talk about, oh, sorry, I can't do this on Sunday because I'm home for my roast.
Mm-hmm.
Or I've got a roast at 3:00. So it's like a big thing for a lot of people, which is probably why. I mean, I thought I was being original there, giving you a whole meal, lots of different bits, but come to realizing it's not actually very original.
I'm sorry. I'm not meaning to shame you at all. Everybody's last meal is wonderful. It's just interesting to me. But when you explain it that way, it makes more sense because, I mean, you've lived, in LA as well, part-time. So you know that in the States, there's not really, a tradition like that to have a weekly meal that you eat the same thing as opposed to, once a year having the Thanksgiving dinner. So I think it makes sense.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it is a funny thing that we do, but I love it.
Yeah, I know. I've never had it before. I really want to. There's a place, I live in Seattle, that is like a very fancy butcher shop that they have a restaurant in the back and they just started doing a proper English roast. So I need to go and try it.
Definitely. You got to go try it.
For her last meal, Tilly Ramsay wants a proper British roast. If you want to learn more about this quintessential, ubiquitous English meal, you can find a link to the Gavin Rossdale episode in the show notes. I chat with British food historian Dr. Neil Buttery, best last name for a food historian ever. He talks about Yorkshire pudding, how to make the crispiest roasted potatoes, and gets into some of the history and the cultural significance of the Sunday roast. Okay, before we wrap up, Tilly tells me a little bit more about her show, Dish It Out.
I have a guest bring in a mystery box. I was super lucky to have some incredible guests join me, from both my parents to actors and people in the foodie world. It was really cool. And they bring in a box, and inside the box are ingredients for a recipe we're going to cook together. Some of the guests could cook, some of them couldn't. So it was like we were teaching each other. It was a really lovely dynamic because we were all learning. And this element of mystery boxes was really quite new to me because usually I like to prepare for this kind of thing, especially if I'm cooking on camera. I like to know, but that raw kind of reaction, me being like, what is this? Or how am I going to make something out of this? One of them that sticks in my head was I pulled out pig's ears and I was like, well, wow, I've not cooked with these before. Clinton Kelly came on with me and we did this incredible New York style bagel. That was exciting for me because I love bagels and I'd never made them at home. My mum gives one of her secret one-pot dishes away, which I was surprised to get the recipe, I have to say.
Does your mom keep her recipes secret usually?
Well, there's stuff that she doesn't tell me. Like I once saw her sneaking Marmite, which is a very British spread. I love it so much. I always have it on toast. I saw her putting, a tablespoon of that into the bolognese, and I was like, that's your secret trick. There you go. yeah, I was like, what else aren't you telling me? I need to sneak into the kitchen more
Yeah.
often.
That's kind of
Doing.
like putting fish sauce in things too. Like you just want that kind of umami flavor.
Yeah, there's like a
Yeah.
salty, like there's a tang to it, but it's either that or she uses Worcestershire sauce, which I think a lot more people do use. But I now always put Marmite in my bolognese. I know it's kind of hard to have in the US. I always actually pack some in my suitcase just in case I can't find
You must be
it.
able to get it somewhere because actually, coincidentally, yesterday a friend of mine posted her husband is always making these interesting cocktails and he made her a Marmite martini.
Wow.
And I'm not sure like how he integrated it in because it's kind of thick, right?
Yeah, it is quite thick. I mean, it's spreadable, but I'm intrigued. I'm gonna give that a go.
And that was Tilly Ramsay's last meal. You can watch Tilly's new show, Dish It Out, on Amazon Prime. Thanks to Justin and Tia Paiochi, co-owners of Paiochi Food Group in Farmington, New Mexico.
We are not married. We're not girlfriend or boyfriend. This is my sister.
Make sure and stick around till after the credits to hear Tia and Justin talk about a few of their signature dishes. They don't have a brick and mortar, but they do catering and create dining experiences inspired by traditional Navajo cooking and ingredients. Your Last Meal is a product of Seattle's Cascade PBS. Go to cascadepbs.org to become a member. For as low as $7 a month, you'll get on-demand access to all PBS programming, and you'll help keep public media afloat. This episode was produced by me and senior producer Sarah Bernard. Edited, mixed, and mastered by Isaac Kaplan-Woolner. Original theme music by Prom Queen. I have a couple events coming up in November in Seattle. I would love it if you came out. Number one, I am hosting Food Fight on November 8th, featuring America's Test Kitchen hosts. So Bridget Lancaster and Julia Collin-Davison are going to be there. And their new 20th anniversary cookbook is included with your ticket. Find a link to get tickets in the show notes. And 2 days later, on November 10th, I will be a guest at a live taping of the Seattle Eats podcast. That is at Seattle's Town Hall with Seattle Times food writer Ton Vin and Kenji Lopez-Alt. I'm Rachel Belle, and this is Your Last Meal. Before I let you guys go, I'm just curious if you could share a few dishes that either you're known for or things that you really loved.
Yeah, for sure. So we weren't raised traditionally in our Navajo or Dene ways of food. We are taking a step back into history, learning about our culture from our elders in order to step forward. One of my dishes that I did not create, I cannot take credit for it whatsoever because it's a real traditional food is nizchiji, which is basically steamed corn stew. And it's a really long process from start to finish. So it starts with planting and seeding and watering and harvesting. But then we put it into a ground with really hot fire and cover it and steam it for 48 hours at the farm. And we only use cedar and we only use white corn for specific reasons. Whites for male ceremonies, yellows for women's ceremonies, blues for more eating and ingesting. So there's a steamed corn stew. It's usually corn and then the meat. And you boil them together for a long time until the corn's nice and soft. It still has a little bit of a bite to it, al dente, I guess you can say. It tastes like home, basically. And so with my French teaching, but also from one of the elders that I learned from, we add mirepoix to it. We'll take it up a notch. I'll separate all the components and then make something different. Like we'll serve something's cold or something's hot. So that's steamed corn stew. And we serve with little fry breads on the side. And I'll turn the juice into gel and fry the lamb meat in lamb fat, make lamb fat powder out of tapioca maltodextrin.
What do you do with the lamb fat powder?
Just sprinkle on top, kind of like
Okay.
snow.
That's so cool.
Try not to give away too many secrets because it's kind of but Tia actually has her own version of blue cornbread.
So like you said, blue is used for like enjoyment. So my dish lately has been a blue corn bread, and we've been serving it with pine nut butter. So we'll roast a bunch of pine nuts, buzz it up, and then we'll mix it with butter, add some salt. I like to add juniper ash because juniper ash brings out the blue color in the blue. it adds good calcium to our diet. And a lot of our people, Navajos, used to like rub it on their teeth. And so like with the whole charcoal toothpaste and stuff, that's been going on for like many, many generations. Also, we'll play around with the presentation part. We will add marigolds or some like onion blossoms. It just makes it look like a really pretty dish, but it's just a bread course.
Yeah.
And that has just gotten so popular. When we were out in Chicago, people thought we were local. They wanted to put orders of it in. And then another dish that we do is we actually present squash. One squash, 7 different ways. So we will make a puree out of it. We will make chips out of it. We'll pickle them and we'll use some of the raw squash as well. We will make an ash salt out of the outside of a squash, and then we'll make some roasted pucks. He's made a slush with it. We'll use the seeds as well, and we'll toast them. And then the raw guts, which is just one dish, but it's just squash like 7 different ways.
You guys are very creative. I mean, you're clearly both artists.